A bit lit, celebrating research and creativity of all kinds.
Welcome to our second A Bit Lit field trip. And after a year of lockdown, it feels really exciting to be out and about. This morning in our earlier film, we were with Sarah Dustiger looking at the streets of London. We are now with the artist Gavin Johnson in his studio, very, very excitingly. I feel like lockdown has divided all of us into people who are incredibly busy or people who have been struggling to find things to do during lockdown. And I'll offer a trigger warning for audiences now that however busy you feel, Gavin Johnson will make you feel like you were not busy enough. Gavin is an elite athlete, a javelin thrower. He is a writer, a script editor, and as you can probably tell from where we are right now, Gavin, you're also a very fine artist. Thank you so much for inviting us into your studio.
It's a pleasure. It's an actual pleasure.
Really wonderful to be here.
Yeah.
Is it right if we start with that extraordinary CV of yours? I've probably missed out lots of things that you do.
Yeah, sure. Where would you like to start?
In a way, I'd like to hear about how you navigate these various things. And since we're in your studio, when art became something that you were committing sustained time to?
Well, it's all about the people around me. They're all understand the various different things that I do, and they give me the time and allow me to complete every single piece of it. So yeah, it wouldn't be possible without that understanding. So my coach knows that I'm doing art and I do write sometimes. So sometimes I have time off. Even Matt at work, he gives me time off when I need to for competitions, because he was a former athlete himself, and just things like that. So it's just all about managing your time and just using it as effectively as possible, and not just sort of limiting the time of when you procrastinate or just watch TV and stuff like that. I'm just constantly working.
I guess we live in a world which often thinks of sport and art as very different things, and writing and visuals as different things. To you, do they feel like they're speaking to each other, or are they just separate parts of your life?
It's a mixture. I think that they're a lot more closely related than people think. They're a lot more like most javelin throwers that I know. Can actually draw very, very well and paint, and actually Rob Bostock is one of England's greatest javelin throwers. He's actually set up a committee for Olympic artists. So there is a president for art and sport to be combined. The same with McEnroe, he's put on stuff. But there is a bit of a resistance, I feel, for people that do sport that go into art, because there's always been that traditional sort of rivalry, it seems. But yeah, and then with the writing and the visuals and stuff like that, again, I just think it all combines into one sort of thing. It's all being creative, and it's all under one sort of roof for me.
I'm really fascinated that you're telling us that javelin throwers in particular are into art, and I'm wondering if that's about, you can tell me because I have no idea, but if it's about looking into the far distance, making a strategic decision about what to do with your body in order to get the thing that you're holding in the area you want it to.
Yeah, it could possibly be. I don't know. It seems like a coincidence that a lot of the javelin throwers that I know are just fantastic artists. Also, I guess it's something to do with just using your hands, and they've got that visualization, as you said, and they just take it up. And I think a lot of artists have got that in them, but it kind of gets put to one side because the sports is everything that they're recognized for. But they've got these talents. A lot of people have got these sort of talents hidden behind.
Yeah, so looking, Gavin, around everything surrounding us in this room, your wonderful art, but also fascinatingly, the posters of films that you love. Yeah. I'm already seeing potential links between The Godfather with the silhouette of the face and the body and some of your art here in the corner. Do you mind telling us a bit about these pieces in particular? Yeah,
these pieces are an abstract sort of portraiture, because what I'm trying to do is, with this particular style, it's called fluid art, and traditionally it's pieces like this in front of you here, where it's nice, beautiful colours in a sort of abstract way, and then you might get some shapes, and it's just down to the person, the individual, to see what they want to see, or depending on what they feel at that particular moment and what those colours mean to them. Whereas I've actually tried to put a real form to it, so it's actually a recognisable form. So each of these colours represents a feeling or an emotion within that. So with the magenta, it's love and harmony and balance, and with the turquoise, it's tranquility, feminine energy, and it just represents different things, and these colours resonate with us sort of intuitively without us really realising it, and it just sort of it produces some sort of emotional response. And this is what I feel most abstract work is for an emotional response. It's about expressing the intangible things that you can't, that's quite difficult to put into sort of a visual form. But if you can manage to do it in colours or shape or shade, or it's a challenge. It's a different challenge.
Yeah, great, thank you. And you very generously left open for us plans for sketches. So you're talking about the abstract. I wonder if you could walk us through moving from ideas to execution.
So basically, what I'll do is I'll just have a range of different sketches, which will sometimes won't mean so much initially. So right now, as I said, I'm going towards more recognizable forms. So with this particular style, I've recognized that it's lots of lines and just shapes and things like that. So what I'm trying to do is silhouettes of human shapes and bodies. So I'm looking at lots of yoga poses and movements and following the lines that they have, and same with the dance movements and stuff like this. So as you can see, there's simple lines, but you can see it's a human form, and it's sort of in the midst of a bit of a dance. So we've got that range coming up, and then various different shapes and symbols and things. So this was from outside, this was the initial sketch. So this was sort of life growing. So this is like the first stage of life developing from sort of the white, which is made up of all the colours. So when this density came through the white light, it reflected those colours, and it's more of an organic feel to it. And then it sort of took on more of a human form with the head and the arms coming from here. And then at this point, it was discovering itself. That's part of the story. And then it realised that it couldn't actually truly know where it came from without having a sort of dichotomy or a second person. So it formed into two people here, and then it realized the glory of where it came from and all of the various different things that it could experience. And that was a sort of process of growth and life that I was trying to show. And then when you actually put them all together, my art dealer made me put them all together, and I didn't really realize it, but there was this hearts running through the middle of it. So it was a really beautiful message of sort of life, growth and love, which was the sort of message for this particular piece.
Great.
So that was really nice, yeah.
Thank you. And it's clear from looking at your work, Gavin, and also hearing you talk how important colour is to you.
Yes, yeah.
And yet you're working from plans which are black and white. Can you tell us a bit more about that movement?
For me, I just need to have these are just like prompts, bullet points for me. So as long as I got the form and the pattern and everything in place, I then, as you can see, I write down the various colours, because I'll just sit there for hours sometimes and just visualise what it would be like, and then I'll maybe do a small mock-up on a smaller frame and then take it to a large if I feel like it will work. And then we'll just go from there. And sometimes you just have to experiment and try and see what happens. And then with this particular stuff, if it doesn't work, you scrape it off and you start again. It's no big deal. Failure is just an opportunity for you to learn in this process. So.
Yeah, good advice for all of us for so many different contexts.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You mentioned earlier to me that all of the work surrounded by is the product of the last year, which is extraordinary to think about how productive you've been. Yeah,
I've done pretty much everything in this whole space and stuff that I've sold in the last, I think it's been like 11 months now. It hasn't even been a year yet. So it's been pretty productive and pretty straightforward. I've not had really any sort of hiccups really, and I've been able to sell all over the world, to Paris, Lagos, New York, and it's been great meeting people all over the world through Instagram. It's been a bit of a revelation, and it's allowed artists to access a wider market and not have to go through a gallery, which is sometimes quite a handicap in some places, because sometimes it's not accessible to everyone. But this platform has given us the sort of ability to be able to reach out to people all over the place. So it's been really nice.
Great. And particularly after lockdown and things like Brexit, I'm aware of some artists have had real problems getting work abroad as a result of Brexit. So that makes a lot of sense.
So it's really good. It's just been very, very straightforward. And I think I can't remember how many I've created in that period, probably close to 80 pieces.
Wow.
Close to 80 pieces, and it's been pretty good.
It's incredible. And you talked about colour and you talked about shape. I'm also interested in the size that you're working at, the scale that you're working at. You've got some smaller examples here, but for the most part, you seem to have quite a specific, very large scale size you work at.
This is something that I particularly do, because with this particular style, most people will do it at this size or even smaller, if you can believe that. And I just thought, what was the point in that? I want something big. I want to make a statement. And when you're selling through an art dealer and the galleries and stuff like this, big. The size actually sells it as well sometimes. So if you look at the great artists like Mark Rothko, his stuff, it's quite simple designs, but because they're so massive, they have a massive impact on you. And this is what I'm trying to do with this. So no one with this particular style is doing it in this size at the moment. And it takes a particular skill, a lot of trial and error, because you can't always reproduce this kind of stuff that you see on a small scale. That's why a lot of people stay small, because you can get really, really nice effects on a small scale. But when you take it up, it doesn't quite translate. Yeah. So you need a lot of practice, and it gets very messy. And obviously the space, and most people do this at home. So yeah, I've been fortunate.
Incredible.
To have it, yeah.
I love the fact that we're faced with this work from 2020 to 2021, which feels like such a specific moment in time. Yeah. And then on the other side of your studio, that you had these 1970s and 1980s films.
Yes, yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about them facing each other?
Yeah, well, I'm a massive fan of sort of the old school stuff with my music and films. I just think it just encapsulates a time that just reminds me of my childhood, because I've watched movies like Leon and Scarface and The Godfather. Probably I was a bit too young to watch those, but it was that time when we was just able to do that, and it just, I don't know, it just captured my imagination. I just loved the stories. I just thought those characters are so bold and so interesting and just so unique, especially compared to what we've got now. It just seems like there's so many more iconic characters compared to what we have now, and that you just sort of stay in your mind forever, So it's just my sort of homage to that.
That's great, thank you. Perhaps we could walk around now and have a look at some of the images outside.
Yeah, no problem.
Should we call a cut to... Oh, no, you're going to film that, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay. So here was the one I just described earlier.
Oh, yes.
I will put it up on the wall for you and put it so you can actually see it in its full glory. Oh, let me move this out of the way. So we've got this one here. Oops.
Wow.
So I'll just put this over here on the floor. So this is the last piece, and this one is the first. So this would be a triptych, so this would be one piece. So this is 150 centimeters tall by 300 wide. Yep. Just get them here so they're all lined up for you. There, yeah. So as you can see, they're all put together. And yeah, you can see each stage, how they sort of mold into the next. And you've got the beautiful hearts running through. Some people even see the word love written in it, which is really nice. But yeah, it was something that I didn't think. I had them all separate, as a separate sort of panel, as a sort of progression onto the next. But then when you put them all together, it just combined, and it was just a bit of a lucky one, but it was nice.
There's a real sense of flow running across them.
Yeah.
And we were talking about scale earlier. It's fascinating watching you move it, because I mean, I remember there was the game in the 80s. I am a kid of the 80s, where you had to move these tabs around, and it's like that, trying to get it in the right place.
Yeah.
And watching just the sheer effort of having to move it around shows you the kind of scale that you're working at.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like to go even bigger and bigger if I possibly can. It's just great when you get to see all of these colours and how they mix together, and just having it on a big scale just has such a massive impact. That's what I'm doing it for.
You're going to be doing the Sistine Chapel next. I can see this kind of massive ceiling.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great at some point.
So we're here looking at something which, from the sounds of it, developed from individual ideas to a kind of series that worked together.
Yeah, basically, I had this initial idea. So it was just like, as you can see, life just coming out into sort of a blank space, and then I just sort of added the top part there, and then it gave it more of a human form. And then when you separated them two, and it gave two sort of crowns to each of the curves, it looks like two separate people. So it was, it was a progression of, how life must have manifested when it first started.
Great.
Just, energy, form, and then it duplicated.
So this feels like you collaborating almost with yourself, having an initial idea, extending it, taking it further, and then combining.
Yeah.
I know you've also been collaborating with another artist. Do you mind telling us about that?
Yeah. My good friend Alex. Oops. We've been doing stuff over here. I don't know if I can bring it out.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let me get this to one side.
I feel bad about all the moving you're doing for us. It's like a game of Jenga.
Yeah, this is constant moving around with this stuff. So here,
wow.
I'll put it in front of this one here. So we're combining our styles. Her style is very sort of Art Deco-y, geometric shapes and quite precise, whereas mine is quite wild and colourful. So we've combined both of these two, and this piece is, we're going to call it Lost Innocence. So it's just describing how, when you're young, when you see puddles and rain and stuff like that, it's a fun, magical experience. And then as you get older, you kind of see it as a bit of an annoyance, and it's like that loss of fun in the most simplest of things. So it's just that progression, and that sort of flow connects the two, with the lady when she was younger and who she is now.
Fantastic. So there's kind of two people in the image, but representing one person.
Yes.
There's two of you working on it.
Yes.
Are you laying an idea down that your collaborator? Have we heard the collaborator's name? Sorry, tell me.
Alex Labas, yeah.
Alex Labas. Are you working together? Or is one of you laying something down the other one's responding to? Or?
Yeah. Basically, with this particular idea, I came up with a concept, and I described what I wanted to do, because I just initially made this shape. And then as I was looking at it, the idea came to me, and then we just spoke, and I just basically directed her as to what would be in those spaces. And yeah, we just got going with it, really, because sometimes, the idea comes before the painting. Sometimes I do the painting and then the story and everything comes out afterwards once I've seen it, and it sort of speaks to me in a way. So yeah.
And there's a combination here of your abstract style and then a style which feels less abstract and more kind of iconic, I guess, trying to capture a particular moment in someone's life.
Yeah, and that's what we liked. We like the contrast of that, something that's very wild and then something very recognizable and quite controlled. Yeah.
So do you mind telling us how the difference between working with someone else like this and working on your own?
It's actually been quite smooth, because we're both quite on the same page with stuff. So, I came up with a concept. We both really liked it. We both agreed. We did our sketches as we did in the book there, and we just sort of went on with it, got on with it. It was just very, very easy. There was no sort of egos involved or anything like that. And then when I'm working by myself, I've just got various different concepts that I want to convey. Right now, it's stuff to do with development, life, growth, love, and all those types of things. So I'm just looking for various different images that can represent that, along with the colours. So with this, I took on a lot of sort of Maori tribal sort of patterns, which have a lot of spirals, which represents internal and external growth and development. And so I was taking on those sort of organic colours and represented it in this. And this is why maybe it has an impact on people when they see it, because it's something that's, I don't know, something that's just inside of us, that we see certain colours and it just sort of represents certain things. Yeah. So yeah, and this is what I tried to do, and it worked out well.
And Gavin, you've been really clear and open about the kinds of themes you're kind of trying to capture, the kinds of emotions that are driving your work. Do you feel like those emotions are specific to this weird moment we find ourselves in 2020, 2021 of lockdown?
Yeah, 100%, right. Because a lot of people feel lost at the moment because of all the structures that they've been used to seem to have disappeared, and they are trying to find a purpose for themselves. And what all of these things are, and the life coaching course I did, and all of the psychology around it, is it just shows you that, you're not actually ever lost. Everything's there inside of you, and you just need to look and spend the time to actually develop those things. And this is what I've done. I had a period where, just like everybody else on a treadmill, I had ideas that I wanted to do, but I could never quite do it. Then I had the gift of time. Things stopped. I had a time and I said to myself I wanted to come out of this better than I went in. And so I took up a course, did that stuff, wrote my books, you know, then went into the paintings and found that combining both of these sort of concepts. So a lot of the things that I paint about are stuff that you would get with CBT, NLP and all those types of things. And just working with various different emotions people have trouble expressing, and yeah, I just try to show that through the work, and that's a lot of where the influence comes from. But yeah, you know, it definitely had a impact on you know, me with what's going on at the moment, and I just would like, you know, through this help people see that there is stuff you can do. You know, there's always an opportunity to do something, and it's a chance to do something new or reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, great, thank you. And you mentioned your books with an S at the end. I warned our audience that they would feel they hadn't done an awful lot in the last year. Tell us about the books.
Oh, they're very short books. So basically, when I was doing the life coaching course, you know, the concepts that were coming through resonated with me quite a lot, because I've always thought about these various different things, and I just thought when I've read these books myself, like the Tony Robbins books and all those things, you know, they're fantastic books, but they're always like 600 pages, 700 pages long, and it's just like, okay, and it feels like sometimes they're just going round in circles, and I just thought, let me just write a book that's straight to the point, short, punchy, gives you what you need to know. And I just sat down and I think the first one took me 4 days, and then I just did self-publishing on Amazon and released it, and it was received pretty well. And then I have 2 more which I've yet to release at the moment. So the first one is called The Little Book of Empowerment. So it just gives you tools on how to sort of structure yourself and get yourself done, and sort of using concepts of the pain and pleasure principle and how to manipulate those things for you to get yourself to do stuff, visualization, taking responsibility, just, you know, the various different headline sort of things that you get in a lot of life coaching stuff. But I've just really nailed it and just put it in the most concise way as possible. So you've got it. So it's one of these books where you can come back to. So you've got a framework. So if you forget something, you can just look it up, okay, boom, 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 and just keep yourself on track.
Gavin, it's been such a joy to meet with you today and see the studio, see your work. Congratulations on all of this rich, wonderful success. I haven't really enjoyed lockdown, but if another one comes along, I will comfort myself thinking that someone has shown us how to do lockdown successfully and productively.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
No problem.